Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. While folks are joining in, I am just gonna get started and say hey and introduce myself. Feel free to introduce yourself and share where you're joining from in the chat, in the store you're representing. Um, my name is Deidre Dumpson. I am the retail and library success manager at Edelweiss. For those of you who I may not have met before, but a little bit about myself is that before coming into this role, I was a bookseller um, previously in New York. And I was a manager for a few years there. And so it's really awesome that I have the opportunity now to host sessions like this where I get to help booksellers across the country. So super excited to be here. I also want to say that Joe Foster, the support and education director here at Edelweiss, is also here with us today. And he'll be hanging out in the chat, kind of sharing support documents as we go along through today's session, and also answering any questions in the chat, as well as pinning any questions that we can kind of address later on towards the end of today's demonstration. So that is who we are. So I know that there may be folks who have been using Edelweiss already that are here to kind of learn some more about the tools that they've been using, as well as there are some folks that are here that may not have used Edelweiss for ordering before or at all. So for folks that are joining today that are getting to know Edelweiss, just to share a little bit of background, at its core, Edelweiss is a digital catalog platform. Publishers use it to manage their catalogs, their seasonal catalogs, as well as digital review copies for booksellers and other industry folks. The platform was originally established with booksellers in mind, and the goal was to have a central space where folks could streamline certain practices like ordering, as well as title discovery that were necessary for the maintenance of bookstores. And so now we have Edelweiss. And so today we're going to take a deeper look at ordering specifically and the tools that are available to you. And so without further ado, I am going to turn off my camera and start sharing my screen. And then we will dive right in. So. Alrighty, so you should be seeing my Edelweiss screen, and Joe will tell me if it is not working properly. Yes, so this is Edelweiss. For folks that are new to the platform, if you haven't gone to the site before, to get here, you're just gonna head over to edelweiss.plus. When you are there, you'll be able to create a free account, or if your store already has an account, you can just be added to your store's account by having a store manager or whoever has administration over your store's Edelweiss account, just log in and add you as a user. So a few things that I wanted to go over right before we went through the process of ordering. The first is what we just spoke about is if your store already has an account and you need to be added, simply head over, click your initials or your profile photo. You can open up your profile and account, and this would be a store administrator, so a manager or someone that has administration privileges. And so if you head over to account users, you can just add a user here, enter their email, and they'll be set up with a new account. While you're here, this is where you can also make sure or check and see if you have buying privileges. Buying privileges are essential to being able to order through Edelweiss. So if you are an administrator yourself, or if you are a buyer and you need to have these privileges added, all you would have to do is to check if you have buying privileges, when you're in your account's profile information, if you head over to basic information, this is where you would be able to see if you have buying privileges. If you are an account administrator, you'll be able to edit those privileges right here. If you are not, if you are checking for someone else and you head back over to account users, this is where you'll be able to see who in your store's account does have buying privileges or not. And this is where you can quickly add it for a user in your store. Another quick note or something I wanted to mention is a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about today is available through support documents that break up kind of the ordering process in Edelweiss into smaller bits of information where you can kind of dive into specific tools and get more information about ordering, how to order, and anything else pertaining to ordering. So in this dark gray navigation bar up here, you'll see right next to your profile photo or your initials, this question mark. If you click that here, you'll be taken to help.edelweiss.plus. And this is our support center where you can access any of the documents that Joe shares today in the chat. Or just to learn more information about a specific tool that we covered today, or that you want to learn more about as you get to know Edelweiss. Sorry. Ooh, sorry. Another important note that I wanted to bring up before we got into the process of ordering is an important step that is essential for stores to take when you are beginning to place your orders through Edelweiss. And that is setting up your store's preferences and your category mappings. And so the way that you would do that is, again, by clicking your profile photo or your initials here at the top of your screen. And if you head over to settings and preferences in this menu here, this is where you will be able to enter information like what point of sale system your store is using. You will also be able to map your categories. And so category mapping is essentially allowing you to provide codes that are unique to your store's POS and connect and set that up based on the BISAC categories that publishers assign to titles. So I'm going to say that again because I know I said that in a very confusing way. But essentially, all titles are assigned BISAC categories. And so not every store is using the general BISAC categories that publishers are assigning to titles. And so if there are general categories or specific categories that are unique to your store's sections, This is where you'll be able to connect those general BISAC categories to your store's specific category codes. So for example, if you have fiction labeled as something else like FIC specifically, or just F, you can kind of tag that here and save it. And so when you are placing orders, those category codes will show up as you're placing orders, and it will also show up when you export your orders to import into your point of sale system. So I know Joe's going to share a document about that, and we're not going to talk about that too deeply, but if you have questions, you can kind of check out that document, and you can also reach out to us, and we'll talk more about reaching out to support later on, but you can also access support documents about this by clicking that help button that I showed you earlier right here in this window. So now that we've kind of spoken about that, I also wanted to quickly mention what we're seeing right here, which is your Edelweiss homepage. And so what's important to note about your homepage here in regards to ordering is that there are a number of widgets that are available to you, and widgets are these boxes that you're seeing here on your home screen. And so you can remove and add a number, any of these widgets, and add more widgets to your homepage that are relevant to your ordering process and what you need. So as you can see right here, these are kind of the widgets that will show up on your home screen when you first set up your account. You can see that I have notifications here, which are if publishers shared a catalog, or a markup with me, then I'm seeing that right here on my home screen. Also a publisher list. So if you want to be able to just look through and see what publishers are in Edelweiss, which are most major publishers, you can kind of look through this list here. What's great about this list as well is that you'll be able to favorite publishers. So if there are publishers that you normally order through or from, I should say, you can star those publishers here so that you can easily access their catalogs when you are looking at the catalogs page, which I will show you in a second. New catalogs, as well as just a general catalog search widget. But there are several other widgets that are available here. Review copies, looking at tags, which is something we're going to talk about later. And so you can kind of look through this list and see if there are any widgets that are helpful for you. One that is specific to ordering is having an active orders widget. And you can also have, sorry, popping back over to catalogs, is a work list widget. And so a work list widget is just if you add a catalog to your work list, you'll be able to quickly access those specific catalogs from your home screen, as well as on your catalogs page. And so those are just a couple of widgets that are important to note, but you can kind of take a peek at those and play around with it, and move these around however you would like. Whew. Okay, so now I am going to do a walkthrough of kind of the steps, the basic steps that a buyer would take to place or create and share an order through Edelweiss. And so the first step in that process is to find a catalog or a markup that you want to work from. So If you are just looking for a publisher catalog, you can kind of head over to any of these publishers by clicking a publisher from this list. Sorry about that. You can also search for a publisher by clicking this publisher tab up here and typing in any publisher that you might be looking for. So that's Penguin Random House. But what is most popular is looking through the catalogs page. And so there are a number of ways that you can kind of filter down or refine what you're looking at when you are looking at what catalogs are available to you. The first and probably the most valuable is having your sales rep send over a markup. And so a markup is just a catalog that has notes and tags and other kind of notices that a sales rep shares with a store's buyer in order to highlight which titles might be most relevant to you as a buyer. For those of you who have been using Edelweiss, you may know that catalogs can be super long. And so it's really great to have a sales rep send over a markup. That way you can kind of quickly look through the titles that they really think are key for your store to look at and focus on those, which obviously involves a level of trust with your sales rep. And so but it's also a huge asset and tool for you to kind of minimize the time that you're looking through catalogs. So you can look through kind of a general list of all publisher catalogs that are available within a specific time frame. And you can adjust that time frame over here in the sidebar by clicking this calendar here. But you can also adjust the time frame up here where it says new catalogs in the last 3 months. If you click that, you can switch over to a different time frame. As I have mentioned before, when you favorite publishers, those specific catalogs would show up here under favorite publishers. And so that's a quick way for you to kind of pare down the number of catalogs that you have to look through and look at. Shared with you is where you will see those markups that a sales rep have shared with you. And so here I have a couple of examples of markups that sales reps have shared that we will look through in a moment. There's also your recently viewed, and as I have mentioned before, you will also be able to look at the catalogs that you've added to your work list, that you've bookmarked, which we will circle back on in a moment, as well as what catalogs are most popular across the industry right now. There are also things like your collections, as well as collections that have been shared with you by your colleagues, and we'll talk about that more later on. But that's kind of what you are seeing here on your catalogs page. So to circle back on markups, once you have a catalog or a markup that you're ready to look through or work through, you can just open it up by clicking on said markup or catalog. And so what you see here is kind of the title list that is included in this catalog. But what's important to note is at the bottom here, you're going to want to make sure that you're seeing this orange bar here. The orange bar means that you have buying privileges and you can start, create, as well as share an order. And so if you do not have those buying privileges, you won't be able to create an order here. If you aren't seeing the orange bar, but you're confident that you have buying privileges, it's important to note that this little shopping cart icon is how you can collapse the bar at the bottom of your screen. And so if it is collapsed, you just click it again and it opens right back up. So when you open up a catalog, you'll see here that if you know for sure you're going to order from this catalog, you can quickly add it to your work list. And that's how you'll see it in your work list on your widget on your home screen, or in the catalogs page, which we talked about before. In this light gray bar up here, I just want to mention that this is where you can quickly change the display or how you are viewing the catalog. So full view is definitely the best view when you are placing an order for your store, because you will be able to get all of the information that is available to you quickly, visible and accessible for you to read through. But if you wanted to just quickly look through a catalog and scroll through and just see what the catalog or markup is looking like, you can switch over to a 2-column view, which condenses that information and allows you to kind of just scroll through and see what is included in this markup. There's also a grid view where you can just see a list of titles if you like. But as I said before, full view is obviously, is definitely the best option for when you are placing an order for your store. When you are ready, or if you know for sure that you want to place an order for Macmillan, and so you want to create an order, you can do so by clicking this Create New Order button down here in the orange order bar. And so when you click that, this window will appear here, and this is where you can just enter some information for your order. So we're just going to call this MPS Fall 22. You can enter either the potential PO number or just a placeholder for the moment. So just gonna go from memory here. You can enter your store's discount for this specific publisher that you're ordering through. And then right here is where you will be able to share your order with your rep. And you can do this right away if you'd like, but you don't have to share your order right away. You can share it once you're done and you've entered all your quantities and you're confident that it's ready to go and it's ready for your rep to take it and process it on the publisher end. Any comments or notes that you want to keep in mind for this specific order? The vendor code, and so this would be the vendor code that you use in your point of sale system, and you can use that when you export this order to import it into your point of sales. And another way or feature that's great for streamlining your ordering process is entering your appointment information so that you can kind of organize your orders and work through catalogs based off of the appointments that you have scheduled or set up with your sales reps. The last thing that's important to mention when creating an order is that it is super helpful and really important for you to bind your order to a publisher or even a specific catalog or markup if you'd like. But if you were thinking of adding backlist titles to a frontlist order, then it's best that you just connect it to a specific vendor, which I'm going to show you how to do right now. And so right now we're working on a Macmillan order. So in this vendor list here under the advanced options, I'm just going to scroll down. And and make sure Macmillan is selected. And we're just gonna say all catalogs and collections, and you click save. If you have not shared the order, you'll get a notice that you haven't shared the order, but that's totally okay. And you just click okay. And then you'll see down here in my orange order bar, it says MPS Fall 22, which is the order that I just created. And that is how you create an order if you're working from within a catalog. And so once you create an order or select an order from here, what you'll see is that the bubbles to the right of your store name will change from gray to orange, which means you now have the ability to add quantities for each title that is listed in this catalog. So just to show you. Another place where you can create an order. So for example, if you are just creating orders based off of when you have your appointment set up with your sales rep, you can do that from over here on the order screen. And so I'm gonna just pop over there really quickly and show you how to do that. So if you click orders or the orders tab at the top of your Edelweiss page, you'll see right here at the top in this light gray bar, a create order option. If you click that, you'll see that same window that we were just looking at when we created the order from within the catalog right here. And so this is another place where you can just create multiple orders at once, set up your appointments, and that way you can know which catalogs or markups you should tackle first. So I'm going to also create a to catalog. Okay. So to head back over to our catalogs, so we were just working from a Macmillan order. So say, for example, you recognize that your Penguin Random House appointment is sooner. You can just pop over to your Penguin Random House catalog. And so what you're going to make sure, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you switch over from the orange bar at the bottom of your screen. You just click the menu here and you'll see a list of your orders. And so because we bound the other order to Macmillan, you'll see that that order is not showing up as an option here for the catalog that I'm looking at. And so that's why it's super important to bind your catalog, to bind your orders. That way it will eliminate the possibility of you adding quantities from another publisher to an order that you're working on. Now that we have created an order and we've bound it to a publisher, when you are looking through a catalog, you will see that there is a lot of information that is available for you or to you for each title. Aside from basic information like the cover, title, and author, you'll see things like publication date, what format it's being published in, price, the BISAC categories, as well as subcategories that have been assigned to a specific title, page count, the parameters of the book, And you'll also be able to see market information, like if it's available in other markets or in other markets. But also what's really great is that you'll be able to see quickly here if other folks in the book world are loving and or talking about this book. And so you can quickly kind of see a list of reviews from booksellers, librarians, book bloggers, and reviewers, um, and kind of get an idea of whether or not folks in your community might love this title as well. When you are looking at a markup, you will see things like highlighted titles. And so highlighted titles are is when a sales rep is saying either this title is going to be super big, or it could be a really big title for your store, your community specifically. You'll see information like print run, where highlighted information like author residence, if there are signed copies available, kind of what marketing and media stuff is already set up. You can also expand any of these tabs down here, content, comps, related, and refs. And so content is sharing information like the summary of the book, author bios, any relevant links that the publisher shared to maybe images that you can use for marketing purposes, what marketing plans are already planned for this title, key selling points that your sales rep thinks is relevant to you and your store, as well as quotes and reviews. Comps is a really great feature and asset to you, because what it is saying or showing you is these are titles that are related to this book, whether it be that these are past titles that the author has written, or it could be titles that are very similar in genre or content. So if your customers love these books, they will likely enjoy this title as well. And so you can kind of look through these comparable titles and see like, oh, yes, these titles definitely sold, or these were definitely a staff favorite. So we absolutely want to get this title into our store. There is also related formats that you can check out here. And refs is just showing you other catalogs as well as orders that this title has been added to or has shown up in your stores as well as the publisher's history. And so as you're scrolling through, you can kind of use any and all of this information to kind of determine whether or not you want to order a title into your store and how many quantities, and what quantity of that title you want to order in. And once you feel ready, you would just click over here into this orange bubble, enter a quantity there. You can click out of it, hit enter or tab, and that quantity will be saved. You might remember from earlier when I had mentioned that you can set up your store's category mappings before you start ordering. And so if you set that up, you'll see those categories automatically get mapped to a title here. So for example, if you set up a horror category, or maybe a like mystery thriller category that is specific to your stores sections, and you set that up to automatically map when you are placing orders, you would see that pop up here. But you can also manually enter that information as you're setting up orders by clicking this add category button here, and just typing in mystery thriller. And so that is what will show up when you export this order to import it into your point of sale system. Right here underneath that, you also will see carton quantity, which I forgot to mention. And so if you want to order, maybe you know for sure that this is a title you want to have at least a solid stack of, you can just quickly see here how many copies are included in a carton, so that you can just say, okay, I want a carton. Yeah, sorry, just pausing for a second to collect my thoughts. So as you are working through and looking through a catalog, as I had said before, catalogs can be really long. As you can see, this one has 475 titles, and sometimes it can be overwhelming to try to look through an entire catalog in one sitting. So if you reach a point where you want to pause, obviously, as we spoke about before, you can add this catalog to your work list. But another great feature is bookmarking, so that you can return to the specific point that you left off within a catalog. And so if I said I wanted to stop here, you can bookmark this title, and you'll be taken back to your home screen. And so you'll see I bookmarked this catalog that is on my work list. And so I can click back in and be taken to the title that I bookmarked where I left off. So once you, and I'm just gonna add some quantities here. So once you have entered in your quantities, if you feel good about what you have and you're ready to share an order with a sales rep, all you'll need to do is hop over to your orders page by clicking this tab here. And so you'll see my PRH order is right here. And you can click this yellow bubble that has a number 0 in it currently. And you click that, scroll down, and you can share your order with your PRH sales rep. And so you would just need to check off their name there, email check shares, and they'll get a notification that an order has been submitted to them. And you can also follow up with them directly and just say, hey, I just submitted my order to you. But a lot of sales reps will see those notifications or see that right away. You can also share your orders with the rest of your team if you'd like, and that's another way that you can share your order. Yeah, so that is just the process of like creating and sharing an order. So now that we've kind of gone over those basic tools, I wanted to talk or go back to talk about some other features or tools that are available to you that you can use as you are working through catalogs. So just to pop back over, actually, I'm sorry, going back to the home screen. So if we are still working on our Penguin Random House order, and say, for example, you want to add some backlist titles to your order, there are a number of ways that you can search for titles, individual titles in Edelweiss. And obvious, I keep saying obvious, but it's not obvious. What we have here in this dark gray navigation bar at the top of your screen is a search box. So if you click into here, you can just type in a title. So it's showing up here. So I'm just going to use this book. So you can just enter in the title as you know it and search for it that way. And so because I am working on a Penguin Random House order and I bound it to Penguin Random House, you'll see that I can quickly add a couple copies of The Women of Brewster Place, which was published by Penguin Random House, to my PRH order. So you can add backlist titles that way. If you're looking for specifically an author rather than a title, you can always refine your search by clicking this gear icon here within the search box, and you can expand or refine any of the elements that you're using to search for a title by checking or unselecting, deselecting any of these elements here. What I also wanted to point out is that when you are, that keeps popping up. When you are working through a catalog, so I'm going to go right back over to this PRH catalog that I was working through, you'll notice that there will be titles by authors that have published a number of books previously, or maybe a book previously. And so if you want to, you can also add in their previous titles or add those backlist titles to your front list order so that you can have their backlist available once their new titles are coming out. So if, say, for example, you work through your order, you can search for a specific author that you came across as you were working through a catalog. And so just scrolling through here, for example, Camilla Shamsi, she previously released a title called Home Fire. So you will probably, actually, before I search for it, you'll see that information right here in the catalog under the comps or related titles. And so if you want to add a couple of copies, you can search for those backlist titles and add them so that you have those backlist titles in once the book comes out. Another great way to search for other titles that you may want to add to an order is by using save filters. And so save filters you can get to by clicking the save filters button here. And so from your save filters page, you'll click add new filter. And so save filters you can use to put together a certain amount of attributes that are relevant to the titles that you are looking for. So say, for example, at the end of August is Bookstore Romance Day. So I absolutely want to make sure that I know what new romance titles are coming out in the next month or so. And since I'm working on a Penguin Random House order, you can even make it specific to Penguin Random House. So the first thing that I'm going to click from this attributes menu is subject. And then I'm going to scroll down, and romance is a subgenre of fiction. So I'm just going to add romance. And then I'm going to, from this attributes menu, select publication date. So let's say I'm looking for a romance that came out maybe between a month ago and looking out 1 month from today. Yeah, that's perfect. And then I am going to also go to, oh, my computer's being weird. Sorry. Hey. That is being super weird. But you can also add a specific imprint. So for example, I know that Penguin Random House works with Berkeley. Lots of publishers. So I'm going to add Berkeley. You click save, and I have a list of forthcoming Berkeley titles that I can quickly add to my order and ensure that they're here in time for us to make sure that our romance section is nice and full of romance titles. And so save filters are great because if you say, for example, if I edit this filter, and remove the imprint, and there is a vendor if you want to add a larger publisher. Now I have a general romance filter that I can apply to something like review copies, for example. So I'm going to jump over to the review copies page. And I'm going to look at all the digital review copies that are available. And then apply my new bookstore romance day, say filter. For some reason, take a moment. Okay. And so you'll see here, I have my bookstore romance day filter applied. And so there are 13 review copies that fall under that category or those categories that I've applied here. And so if you want to take a peek at what titles are available for you to maybe download or read digitally, you can do so here and see if maybe any of those titles are available, and actually a bunch of them are available specifically through PRH. So that is save filters. I am going to save filters and review copies, I'm sorry. Another important or a couple of important things to mention when you are looking through catalogs is that there are also a number of other tools aside from save filters that you can apply to kind of filter down the information that you are looking at. So you'll see here, you can apply a save filter. So either a filter you created yourself or a genre filter that is already provided. through Edelweiss or by Edelweiss, you can apply that here. So say, for example, you really want to get in some new biographies and memoirs. You can apply a biography memoir genre filter so that you can quickly look through those titles and make sure that you have the right quantities that you need for that. And then I'm going to clear that filter. Returning to this light gray bar at the top here and just quickly opening up this other actions menu. You'll see that there are a number of things in this menu, but what's really great in regards to making your process of looking through catalogs easier is looking through this set priority hide list. And so here is where you can kind of select or deselect any items for all of the titles that you want to have already expanded when you're looking through a catalog, or deselected if you don't want that information to be showing as you're looking through catalogs, so that it will shorten your list. And that way you can just expand any of these tabs for a title that you want to learn more about, rather than having that information already there, which makes the page longer to scroll through. There are, returning to the other actions menu, there are other things that you can do. For example, select all and add a list of titles to a collection. And so that could be a great way for you to share a list of titles with the rest of your staff as the buyer and just say, oh, these are the PRH or titles that we have on order for the fall. So you could just select the titles that you have on order and add them to a collection that way. You can also export them as a PDF or export to a file. And so that's a great way for you to just pull a list of ISBNs or pull some title information for you to look at offline. You also have, when you're looking here over to the right of the content comps tabs, there are a number of tools here that are great for you to use as the buyer yourself, but also to kind of have staff involved in your buying process. So the first is reviewing titles. So you can, especially as booksellers, obviously a lot of folks are reading stuff in advance. So if you have your staff submit their reviews in advance, you'll be able to see those reviews right here when you are creating orders. So you'll be able to submit numerical ratings, as well as just like words, share it with your colleagues, and that's important for if you want your buyer to see it, as well as your friends in Edelweiss, and you can share it with the publisher. And so once you once you save that, and what you'll see at the top in that light gray bar again is that you'll be able to click and see which titles have a review available. And you can jump to those orders. And if you know for sure it's going to be a staff pick, you can make sure that you add a couple extra titles or up your quantity for that specific title. You can shelve titles that you're excited about or that you maybe want to review later. You can share notes or have notes shared with you. So you can share notes directly to the publisher about a specific title, or you can have fellow staff members or booksellers share notes that might be relevant to you as a buyer, like a definite staff pick or something like that. Tags. are a great resource and probably was one of my favorite tools when I was a bookseller. And tags are a great way for you to have your staff highlight titles to you, but also for you all to collaborate on collections of titles and create lists together. So for example, we would use tags for our staff picks. So if we knew that this was going to be our January 2023 staff pick, you could just quickly tag staff pick Jan 23. And that way your buyer as well as other team members will see that this title is a staff pick. You can love a title, and that's kind of where you see this much love here is from folks loving titles, as well as share information about a specific title here. And so those are all great resources or tools that you can use, as well as have other booksellers or staff members at your store use, so that you can collaboratively work through and look at a catalog. Yeah, I just want to see if I'm missing something. The last, I guess, important thing that I want to mention for folks, and it kind of lends to another session that we have coming up later this summer in August, is a tool that you're not seeing here, but an option that is available is to have analytics. And analytics is just, will just make your store's sales data, as well as other stores, meaning market data, available to you as you are working through or looking through orders. And you can use that information to make more informed or more confident buying decisions. And so what I'm going to do is quickly show you here. Oh, sorry. Analytics data. Suddenly it like slipped my mind. And so if you have Basecamp analytics, what you'll be able to do is, as you're looking through catalogs, see basic market information, how many stores have sold a specific title, how many stores have this title on hand, and how many stores have this store on order. And this is the percentage across the industry. But you can also look at a specific region. So the region that you belong to, if you want to learn specific information about what's working or isn't working in your store's region. You'll also be able to see sales data for the comparable titles listed for a specific title within a catalog. And so what you will see is the overall sales in your store, the lifetime sales, last year's sales, how many copies on hand currently or on order do you have for a specific comp? And so you can use that to quickly determine whether or not an author's previous titles have done well in your store. And so we'll be talking about analytics in a later summer session. So please be sure to join one of those sessions to learn more about how you can use analytics to make informed buying decisions or decisions with data to back you up. I know that we covered a lot today, so just a reminder that support documents are available to you. You can reach our General Support Center by just clicking here or going at help.edelweiss.plus. But if you are doing something specific like ordering or looking through a catalog, you'll see that there's a help button here as well. And that will take you to specific documents that are pertaining to what you are using or what tool you are using in that moment. You can also always reach us at support@abovethetreeline.com. Our support team is amazing, and always there and available to answer any questions that you have. And I'm also going to just stop here to see if Joe has any suggestions. No questions. Okay. So that is ordering through Edelweiss. It can seem super complicated at first, but it absolutely is a huge resource for bookstores, and it is a great way for you to simplify your buying process and make your life easy. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Please make sure that you check out our other summer sessions. And also, yeah, I'm here if you have any questions as well. So thank you for coming out this afternoon, and I hope you found this helpful.